I've talked before on how you can use themes and leitmotifs on your songs, kinda like they do in movies, musicals, and operas, where you associate a specific melody or rhythm or vibe to either a specific character, feeling, or again, just a vibe. And while listening to it throughout the whole piece, or maybe while watching the movie, you do get that feeling of cohesion within the whole thing because you've heard that melody before, but in different contexts. Especially when you also take those melodies and themes and you rearrange them to fit the mood of whatever scene you're accompanying, or whatever your character is going through, or how they're referencing said character. And sure, it might sound weird to just do that in your regular day-to-day songs, but the truth is, it actually works pretty well. I have a whole other video where I talk about how you can implement that with your chord playing or your riffs and melodies, but you can also do that with your guitar solos. And yeah, I guess I am saying guitar solos in plural, even though most songs nowadays don't even have guitar solos. And when you think of more classic and legendary songs, most of them have like one guitar solo, if even that. And while I am an advocate that not every single song needs a guitar solo, especially as someone who does instrumental progressive guitar-based music, when you're doing your own song and you have multiple guitar solos, or maybe you have a section where the guitar plays the melody and later on you have that solo, you can apply this same concept not only to give your song, like I mentioned before, a sense of cohesion, but it also might spark some feelings on the listener, like maybe nostalgia because they've heard that before, they might not just recognize it, or maybe even the same lick or phrase over different chords can spark different vibes that will again influence the listener in different ways. It can also elevate just any random guitar solo into something that is a little bit more polished, giving it the vibe of something more thought out and composed, even if you're just improvising the solos for the most part. And a great example of that would be my latest release song Fossil, which if you haven't, you can and should go check out anywhere you listen to your music at. Closer to the end of the song, I was doing this guitar solo that was over the chords of the main melody slash riff of the song. And I wasn't just trying to do random shred, I was actually trying to outline those chord progressions, and while improvising and trying to figure out something that was a little bit shreddy and intense, but also at least pretty melodic, I came across this section over here. Which features for the most part pretty diatonic chords. We're in the key of A major or F sharp minor, and that section of the song is going over the chords F sharp minor, D, E, C sharp or C sharp 7, and going back to the F sharp minor. And even though I don't think I was consciously thinking of it, that lick is just pretty much outlining the triads of those chords in these kind of like caged-ish position shapes, but I wasn't really thinking of the cage system. But think of it like that if it helps you figure out the section better. Using this shape for the F sharp minor chord, this one for the D, which are pretty similar. You just move that C sharp on the 6th fret of the 3rd string, a half step up, and you make it a D chord. After the D chord, we move to E, so we can just take this whole shape a whole step up. And again, while looking at this shape for the E chord, if we take that E over there and we make it an E sharp, which I know doesn't make a lot of sense, but trust me, it is what it is, we get that C sharp 7 chord position. And going back to F sharp from that, and like I mentioned before, this was just a random lick that I played over that solo while I was kind of improvising around. But later on in the songs, I was also jamming some solo section bits over the chords of the chorus. There is this section where we're not starting on the F sharp minor chord, but we're once again doing D, E, and C sharp 7, resolving back to the F sharp minor. And I was once again just improvising the solos of that part, and when it got to outlining those chords, I genuinely didn't even think about it and just played the exact same lick, probably because not a lot of minutes earlier I played the exact same lick over a different solo, and only really thought about it when I came to listen back to the whole song and I was like, wait, I've heard this lick before, where have I heard it? And yeah, it turned out that my brain just used it in both solos. Now, I know what you're thinking, it might be a little bit boring that you don't really have a lot of different solo sections, and when you do, you kind of just play the same thing over and over again. But like I said before, that's not really the way to think about it. You're not playing the same lick over and over again, you're just applying a different melody over different contexts, because like I said, even though it's the same lick over the same chords, because one is within the context of the chorus, and the other one is within the context of the main riff, and they both lead to different parts. It definitely gives out a different vibe that even if you're just improvising your solos and you don't really have time to think of all those things through, because whatever comes up in the moment comes up in the moment for a later section and nothing's coming out, so maybe you compose your solos a little bit more, here's perhaps something a little bit different that you can try. In case it wasn't obvious already, go check out my latest release song, Fossil, anywhere you listen to your music at, and don't forget to leave a like, comment, subscribe, turn on all the notifications, follow and stay tuned for more because I'm releasing new songs every week, and I'm releasing new videos every day, twice a day. If you enjoyed this one, I'm sure you'll like the other ones too, so perhaps even share it with a friend who might also enjoy it. I want to take the time to once again thank all of you guys for all the support in these songs and videos. I can only thank you guys so much, but it really means a lot and it really makes a difference. And yeah, I can only hope to see you in another video, but until then, cheers!